See, that's how you get the fans hype. Sit on the couch, have a few drinks, a few sodas, promised them that I wouldn't be too biased. Best idea for anybody listening to this, pick everything that I'm picking against. Welcome back to Tyler's Tailgate Talk, back with episode 6. Back again with another big week of college football. A big week last week where we had a lot of big storylines coming out of last week. A lot of huge games with a lot of big implications coming from last week. We had the Alabama Ole Miss game. Georgia and Arkansas was great. Stanford knocked off Oregon. Cincinnati beating Notre Dame, potentially inching their spot into the college football playoff conversation for sure. So a lot to get to. We got a big week this week. We got the River Showdown, one of the greatest rivalries in college football between Oklahoma and Texas, and a lot of big implications in this game, especially this year. One of the bigger Oklahoma-Texas games that we've seen in recent memory. So a lot to unpack this week. And then we've got a top 5 matchup between Penn State and Iowa, which is going to be very fun to watch. 2 great offenses, 2 great defenses there. So we got a lot to unpack. Let's get right into it. Last week, like I said, some big games. Alabama holds off Ole Miss 42-21. Bryce Young looked great. That Alabama defense looked spectacular. They were really able to contain Matt Corral really well and just shut him down ultimately. I mean, it was really one-sided game up until Ole Miss put together some points in the second half in garbage time once Alabama started to go to their second stringers. So 21 points was kind of generous on the Ole Miss front. This game was a lot. The scoreboard says it was a lot closer than it actually was. Alabama really ran away with this game. So big win for the Crimson Tide. They stay number 1 in the rankings. No surprise there, as they should. The number 2 team in the country last week had a pretty good game. Georgia taking on ranked Arkansas, who's been really hot these past few weeks. Georgia without JT Daniels last week, but they were still able to get it done, knocking off Arkansas 37-0. Arkansas just really didn't get anything going. The Georgia defense, probably the best in the country, honestly. I mean, that defensive front is just unbelievable. And I mean, I believe in the past 2 or 3 games, Georgia's beaten 2 games. Yeah, past 2 weeks, Georgia's knocked off their opponents a combined 99-0, which is just insane to think about. That defense has just been rock solid. So they knock off Arkansas. They stay at 2 in the rankings. I like them there. No reason they should surpass Alabama yet. I think they could be the best team in college football, but I think the number 2 spot is where they should be. Now, the number 3 ranked team in the country last week had a bit of a challenge. Oregon taking on Stanford, and the Ducks coming in at number 3 ranked. They were only favored by 8 points. I had them as my locks, one of my locks last week, giving Stanford 8 points. That was just not the case. Stanford really, they read the defense well. Quarterback did a fine job managing the game, managing when to pass the ball, when to run the ball, and just really didn't give Oregon the opportunity to control the clock. That was the big key. Stanford got out to a lead early and really kept Oregon off the scoreboard until later in the second half when Oregon was trying to put together a late comeback and they were just unable to. So we kind of see a flaw there with Oregon where they can't play from behind very well. How does that fare in the future? I don't know. They don't drop down a ton, which is big for them because that game could have ruined everything for them. They do drop down to number 8, so they do need a lot of help in getting back to the college football playoff. But I mean, Stanford played a hell of a game. Hats off to them, knocking off number 3 in the nation. Good Pac-12 game. Something we've been wanting this entire year was just good Pac-12 competition, because the Pac-12 has just been disappointing the past few years. And so we finally get it. Stanford knocks off number 3 in Oregon. I'm not complaining. Get the Ducks out of it. A big game that we were all looking at, not really because it was two top 5 teams, because it wasn't, but 2 teams that had relatively easy schedules that were ranked in a good spot at the beginning of the year to put themselves in a conversation for the college football playoff if they were around the table. And that's Cincinnati and Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame, they've had a couple of big games. Week 1 against Florida State was a nail biter. Mackenzie Milton gave them a run for the money, but Notre Dame came out with that one. Cincinnati's kind of just rolled through their competition so far. So 2 undefeated teams coming into last week. Cincinnati ranked number 9, Notre Dame 7. Cincinnati gets the win, and they win 24-13. So where does that put Cincinnati? Well, they've got a relatively easy schedule these next few weeks. They've got Temple tonight, then the Navy next week. Tulane might be their biggest game. And then Tulsa, USF, SMU. SMU's ranked right now where they'll be in 5 weeks. Not really sure. Sorry, 6 weeks. Not really sure. But SMU is the highest ranked team on their schedule at the moment. And then East Carolina. So Cincinnati's in a great position. We're currently ranked number 5 after last week, where they can easily win out and put themselves in conversation for the college football playoff. I mean, all you need right now is a loss from Iowa or Penn State, and we're going to get that this week. Someone's going to win that game. Someone's going to lose that game. So I'm going based off the fact that Alabama and Georgia, I think, are going to stay number 1 and number 2 the rest of the year. Now, who's number 1 and who's number 2 between the two? That could come up with some debate when we get later on in the season. And then as far as the season goes, I think they're a lock for the SEC championship game, which is going to be a great game. But I would say those 2 are going to stay there. 3 and 4 are kind of up in the air. We do have Oklahoma undefeated at ranked number 6. They haven't really shown a ton. I mean, they've shown that they can win, but they haven't shown what Oklahoma has shown in the past, which is blowing teams out, Big 12 style. So I think Cincinnati's in a perfect spot right now, number 5, where if they win out, that's all they got to do. They win out, and the committee will say, okay, you go undefeated, where you were ranked number 9 or something beginning of the year, you win out and put yourself in the college football playoff. Boom, there's your first group of 5 school in the playoffs. So that would be huge for their program. Cincinnati, they got a clean road ahead. It's gonna be fun to watch the Bearcats down the road. Another big headline coming out of last week is Coastal Carolina. Now, on the subject of Cincinnati being a group of 5 school, it's a bit of a different case with Cincinnati than it is with Coastal, because Cincinnati's been going at it for a good number of years now. I want to say 5 or 6 years. They've been at the top of their game and losing no more than 2 games every year. So that puts you in a conversation where you're one of the it's a standard for your program where you're up there every single year. And the voters who vote on the AP poll trust that your team will do good. So that's why they're up there. Now, Coastal Carolina kind of just came alive last year with freshman Grayson McCall, the emergence of Isaiah Likely and Javon Highlight. So Coastal Carolina currently ranked 15. Should they be higher? In my opinion, yes. Will they get higher? They might get a little bump up. I don't see them surpassing 12 or 11 by the end of the year. If they do go undefeated, it's it's gonna be tough to be tough to say because they don't have the hardest schedule in the world. Cincinnati does have some good games on their schedule, like Notre Dame and SMU down the road, but Coastal's kind of the team where they don't have a great schedule, so the strength of schedule isn't there to really boost their ranking. And the thing that just disappoints me is Coastal's out here every single week blowing out teams. I mean, I'm recording this on Friday afternoon. This episode's going to go out tonight. So hopefully you're watching this on this Friday night or Saturday morning before the games. Coastal Carolina went out last night and they absolutely obliterated Arkansas State, 52-20. And friend of the show, we had him on the Couch Potato Show before the partnership with Washed Up Sports Podcast. Isaiah Likely last night, 8 receptions for 252 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, in my eyes, at least, might be a little biased, but in my eyes, best tight end in the country, without a doubt. He's shown game in and game out why he's the best tight end in the country. And Grayson McCall is just doing absolutely nothing but upping his draft stock because he's literally not doing anything wrong. I mean, he's finding his targets. If they're playing in close games, which they haven't really been, he's getting out of it and making it so it doesn't look as close. He's putting up numbers consistently. I mean, he got better as the game went on, as I was watching the game last night. So Coastal Carolina, in my eyes, is a really good team. I think they deserve higher than a 15 ranking. I think they'll get higher as the season progresses, and hopefully I hope they get a good bowl game, a good New Year's Six bowl, because they definitely deserve it. So that's really all I got to say on Coastal Carolina. If they got to put together, excuse me, they got to put together some good, like a good couple years worth of strength of schedules to where they can really boost their reputation in terms of what kind of a program they are. And then once they do that, then they'll start getting the respect like Cincinnati gets. But moving on, the Red River Showdown this week is going to be one hell of a game. Number 6, Oklahoma, number 21, Texas. I'll get into it in a minute. So let's get right into the tailgate locks for this week. Now, last week, not my best performance. I'll admit that. We did go 1 for 4. Not great. Now, I did say, and I'll say this every week, my locks that I'll give you each week, I'd probably prefer you bet the opposite because my locks never hit. Absolutely not. So far on the season, we are 4-7, which is not great. So whatever I give you, pick the opposite and you'll make money. And as always, if you do have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. They'll figure all your shit out for you. Don't get a gambling addiction. It's not good. But anyway, locks for this week. Hopefully they're better than last week. Last week, we really only hit on the Michigan plus 1.5 against Wisconsin. Like I said earlier, Oregon, the -8 didn't help against Stanford, as Stanford just won straight up. Oklahoma and Kansas State, I picked the under. They hit the over on that one. And then Alabama and Ole Miss, I decided to have some fun with it. And like we all know, betting is not fun. And I picked the over on the 79.5 total points, and they hit the under severely. So don't listen to me for advice. I'm just doing this for fun, showing you why you should not listen to me. But anyway, this week, tailgate locks. I feel good about these. I say that every week, but I do kind of feel good about these. I was a bit smarter this week. my 4 games that I picked, there was some thought that went into it. So bear with me here. First up, we got number 2 Georgia taking on number 18 Auburn, SEC matchup, top 25 matchup. Georgia, like we all know, has been unbelievable this year. Auburn, they've had some up and Auburn has had some their ups and downs. Jesus. Bo Nix has just been a roller coaster this year. He's either really good or really bad. I mean, he's either Nathan Peterman out there and just throwing pick after pick after pick and getting benched, or he's out there looking like Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. I mean, the highlights from the LSU game last year should just tell the story because he was unbelievable in that game. I do think we get the Nathan Peterman Bo Nix this week. So that's why I'm going with Georgia minus 15 points. I think Georgia's going to cover that easily. I don't think this is going to be a close game. I think JT Daniels coming back. It's going to be big for them. Georgia, their defense is unbelievable. They're not going to let Auburn score very many points, if any. I think Bo Nix is going to have a lot of trouble back there. And as always, JT Daniels is just going to do his thing and just light up the scoreboard. So Georgia minus 15 feels pretty safe to me. So I'll lock that one in. Next up, number 4, Penn State, number 3, Iowa. Great game. This is my tailgate talk game of the week. It has to be. I mean, a lot of people are saying the Oklahoma-Texas game should be, but this is the tailgate game of the week. Now, I stayed away from the spread. The spread only has Iowa by 1.5. It's kind of too close for me. I didn't really like the pick 'em aspect of it, just because Iowa's defense is so damn good and Penn State's offense is so damn good. So it really could go either way with who wins this game. But one thing's for sure is that the over-under at 41 points, I'm going to have to go with the under on that one. I think Iowa's defense is up there with Georgia with top 2 in the country. I think their defense is unbelievable, the way they've held offenses. So I think Penn State and Iowa under 41 points. I think that should definitely hit and maybe hit big. I mean, maybe a 17-14 kind of game. It's going to be a low-scoring one for sure. These two teams know each other in the Big Ten, so. But definitely going to be a fun game to watch. Definitely going to be a close one. It's going to come down to the wire. I think we can all agree on that one. Next up, a lot of people would argue this could also be the game of the week, and not for good reasons. We've got UConn and we got UMass in the not top 25. Possibly the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in the country in the not top 25. I mean, 2 of the worst teams in college football right now. UConn's head coach actually just went out with tested positive for COVID. So that's not good. UMass coming in. I'm going to take UMass plus 3 points against UConn. I think that head coach going down with COVID is going to be big for the Huskies. And I mean, if it's big for the worst team in the country, I mean, you're not looking at a lot of points there. So I'm taking UMass plus 3. UConn's still favored, but you got to think UMass might pull this one out if they're getting 3 points against UConn. So it's going to be a close one. I mean, we didn't get disappointed last week with UConn and Vanderbilt. Probably the best finish of any college football game last week, with a game-winning field goal by Vanderbilt. So I'm going to go the same route this week. UConn and UMass is going to be a great game, but I'm taking UMass plus 3 points. And finally, the last lock of the week, number 6, Oklahoma, and number 21, Texas, the Red River Showdown. I had to get in on this one. You just have to. Number 6 is number 21. And the spread was so close. Spread only 3 points in favor of Oklahoma. Had to take advantage of that. Texas come in with Bijan Robinson III. possibly a Heisman contender running back, which is huge. Texas has shown they've had obviously one of the best running games in the entire country. If Texas fans really want to say that they're back, this is the game you got to win. I mean, both of these teams coming into the SEC, we know what Oklahoma has. We know what they have as a program. We know what they are year in and year out. They're going to bring in quarterbacks. They're going to make great NFL caliber quarterbacks. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to disappoint everybody in the playoffs, but they're going to stay up there in the rankings every single year, and they're going to win the Big 12. Texas hasn't been good for a long time, and we all know that. You got to date all the way back to Colt McCoy, really. Last time they were a factor. So I like the running game in this game. Oklahoma's kind of been iffy. So I'm going to take Texas plus 3 points against Oklahoma. Like I said, Oklahoma's kind of their games have been shaky lately. They're either blowing teams out or playing really close games against not great teams. So I'm going to take the Longhorns plus 3 points, hammer that one down. Hopefully, I mean, I need something to feel good about here. So those are my tailgate locks of the week. Lock them in, do whatever you got to do. Let's get into some upset watch. Like I said, Texas over Oklahoma just feels right. It'd be a great story. Texas finally being back, apparently, allegedly, probably not. But that's going to be a great game to watch. Another game that a lot of people aren't talking about is number 14 Notre Dame taking on Virginia Tech. Now, everyone knows why I personally love Virginia Tech after what they did to North Carolina earlier this year. So I'm going to take Virginia Tech. There is no spread on this game. It's just a pick 'em game, even spread. I think Virginia definitely has what it takes to overtake Notre Dame, though. LSU, also another team to watch, unranked at the moment, taking on an undefeated Kentucky team. Kentucky only favored by 2.5, so LSU, they've got a chance to win that one and show Kentucky up. Maryland over Ohio State, another possible upset. Talia Tagovailoa coming off a terrible game last week against Iowa, threw 5 picks, not great. So I expect him to have some sort of rebound game. Maryland unranked right now, as they should be, taking on number 7 Ohio State. Ohio State still not convinced that they're an elite team. So I need a good showing from them to show me that they can contend up with the best of them. And finally, Stanford taking on Arizona State. Stanford unranked, coming off last week's win against Oregon. They still haven't had a great year, but I'm going to ride the hot hand here, taking on number 22 in the country, Arizona State, favored by 13 points. I like Stanford here, especially coming off that big win against Oregon. They've got all the momentum in the world right now. So I definitely like the Cardinal there. And finally, my game of the week, Penn State. Penn State, Iowa. I've said it before, I've said it again. Iowa, great defense. Penn State's got a great offense. Iowa's offense has been kind of shaky. We're not 100% sure what's going to show up for them. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. We're looking at a big time running game from Iowa, a big time passing game from Penn State. So I'm going to say if Iowa can get the running game going and control the clock early, I definitely like the Hawkeyes. I think whoever scores first is going to win this game, in my opinion. If Penn State comes out their first possession, just guns a-blazing with Sam Clifford, I think they win this game with a touchdown, first score of the game. Not saying that's going to be the only score of the game, but I think you got to set the tone in this kind of game. Iowa playing at home, so it'd be a big statement for Penn State to just go out there, get points on the board easily and quick, especially against that solid Iowa defense. That's got to be something you got to watch for. I'm going to say that for the first score of the game is going to be the key to whoever wins this game. But that's it for this week. Hope everybody enjoys the games on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Stay safe, enjoy the games, just relax. It's Saturday college football. How can you not enjoy it? So as always, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the Washed Up Sports Crew, as they do so much work. Max and Evan are working their tail off. I mean, we got 4 podcasts coming out now. I mean, it's huge, doing a lot of stuff. So show them some love. Go check out the shop down in the description below, where you can find some great gear for an affordable price. Get yourself a Tailgate Talk t-shirt, $20, nothing crazy. Just rep the brand a little bit. It's something I work hard on, and it's something cool that I'm trying to put together. So appreciate everybody watching. As always, adios. Tune in next week. Peace.